Hi, this is Diane. I'm about ready to put varnish on my painting, so I wanted to give you a little demonstration on how that's done. The varnish that I use is Golden Varnish. It comes in a matte polymer varnish with UVLS. It comes in a satin and it comes in a gloss. You can mix these varieties together to get exactly the type of surface you want. And for the current painting I'm doing, I'm going to just use the satin. So I'll take the others out of the way. What you're going to need is your gloves for mixing. You're going to need a fairly decent brush. I call this my $12 brush. And I use it only for varnishing. It's soft and the bristles don't come out. You're going to need a little container to mix your varnish and water to thin it down. So what I do, they're hard to open. Give it a little table bang and see if you can get it open. I'm gonna pour a little of the varnish into the container. And I add approximately 25% water. I don't measure, I just do it by eye and by feel, the same way I cook. I'm going to put my gloves on. One thing about the varnish is it is toxic. And you will know that because it has a big red X right on the container. So it's always a good idea to wear gloves. The next thing that I want to say is when you're mixing your varnish with the water, you do not want to whip it up. You don't want to get any air bubbles in it or they'll show up on the surface of your beautiful painting. So I usually gently mix it with the brush. Just gently. And that looks pretty good. It mixes pretty easily. It is water soluble, so I think we're in good shape and ready to go. Set that aside. This is the painting. When I varnish, I always make sure that the painting is laying flat on a surface. I don't want to do it on the wall. It would run right off. I would also get drips. You also want to make sure that your surface is very clean. So you'll want to brush it with a rag. Make sure your rag is clean. Any particles that are on the painting will get glued onto the surface, and I like a very pristine surface. So, my next step is to apply the varnish. Because I've thinned the varnish down, I'm not going to get brush strokes. So it doesn't really matter what direction I brush it in. See how I'm using the painting like a little table. It's probably not the best idea in the world, but I never heard anything. So I'm using a sweeping motion, long and very calm brush stroke. Like I said, doesn't matter what direction I go. Because it's thinned down, I am not going to get brush strokes. I just want to be sure I'm covering the whole surface. The reason that I varnish the surface of my painting is because this gives it a UVLS protection. It's going to protect it from the sun. A lot of times when we're using collaged materials, those materials are not archival. They will fade and break down. If you protect it with maybe 2 coats of a really good varnish, you can solve that problem pretty easily. So yes, I said 2 coats. This is 1 coat that I'm doing for you, and I will let this dry for 24 hours, and then I'm going to reapply 1 more coat. I'm pretty particular about my surfaces. Another thing I would like to mention is if it dries and I find that the satin is either too dull or too shiny for my taste, I can put a 2nd coat on and I can alter my formula. If I wanted it to be a little shinier, I could add a little gloss to the satin. If I wanted it to be a little more matte, I could add some of the matte to my satin mixture and get exactly the surface that I'm looking for. I don't always want my surfaces to be a particular way. I think some paintings call for a little bit flatter. Some call for a little bit more of a gloss. I thought this particular painting would look great with satin. So that's it. What I'll demonstrate next time is how to put on cold wax on top of this. So if you want a real sweet surface, we can put a beautiful coat of cold wax on, and then we're going to be really, really shining like a brand new penny, okay? So thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon.